Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my show, Happy Weekend. In today's video, we're going to go through what's been happening in the last 24 hours. We're also going to take a look at some tokens, some calls that I have reason to believe are going to do well. We're going to go through some macroeconomic and political conditions that are also most likely going to have an effect on crypto during this, what would I call it, like pre-bull run holding phase. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So first off, let's just take a listen. Do you say that? Let's listen to what Cathie Wood, we know that she's CEO and founder or something like this of Ark Invest, a pretty big voice in crypto and crypto regulation. She's just, yeah, a thought leader.
Bitcoin, hands down. Hands down. Bitcoin is a hedge against both inflation and deflation. Yes, so is gold, but Bitcoin is digital. And if you look at the incremental demand, we're going to see, but gold already has its demand, you know, it's happened, right? Bitcoin is new, and institutions are barely involved. And young people would much prefer to hold Bitcoin than to hold gold. So
there you have it. So as I said in a tweet recently that I posted, you know, it looks like we're really infiltrating the Hill, government, crypto, you know, like the Senate. It's an incredible time to be in crypto and to observe this. You know, when I entered crypto almost 5 years ago, there was no talk of this. So I feel fortunate to be witnessing this, but it's really quite unbelievable. Next, we know that Bitcoin's supply on exchanges has hit a new all-time low. So if you can't see my screen, basically it's just, you know, it's a chart, and if you can see it here clearly. But we are, like, there is very little Bitcoin on exchanges according to Binance. And this is a bullish sign because basically what this means is that people are moving their Bitcoin off exchanges, which means they're not interested in selling it. They're not interested. They're just holding it. They're moving it off exchanges, and they're long-time holders. This is what this means. And it also means that there's less Bitcoin available to buy. There's less Bitcoin for sale. And if there's less of something for sale, we know that the value goes up. So this is extremely bullish news. Just means like times are changing, right? Like those that are holding crypto right now, they're proper like OGs, they're holders, which is great because it means Bitcoin is in good hands and they're not selling anytime soon. Next, we know that BlackRock and Fidelity have increased their spot Bitcoin ETF holdings to a combined total of 500,000 Bitcoin, worth approximately $28.5 billion. So if you watched my previous video, you would know that, you know, thanks to the power of ChatGPT and analyzing inflows and outflows of Bitcoin ETF purchases from all the top exchanges, sorry, not exchanges, institutional funds, we know that it sounds like it's definitely coordinated. There's some coordination happening with the purchases and sales of it all, of course. And then to some grand extent, it's a giant experiment because institutions are new to the market and they're whales and they have all these strategies at their disposal, just, you know, based on their experience and their knowledge of how and what moves markets. But now they're dabbling in crypto. So it's a learning curve for them. They're learning us, we're learning them. And they're competing against each other. So this is why you'll see and you'll hear news of some funds, you know, BlackRock or Grayscale or Fidelity, like buying and selling. But nevertheless, in the most immediate present, a large purchase is great because it means there's less supply left and it increases the price, and it just sends a healthy signal through the market. Next, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And this is as of today. This is like early, like this is new news. But apparently China is to be announcing publicly, the date has not been determined. They're going to be announcing publicly their digital yuan. Now, some of you may know and some of you may not, so I'll just explain briefly that there's a mass adoption or spread going on around the world of different countries creating their own digital currencies. And China, based on my research today, they've already been using their digital yuan in major cities, in specific transactions. They've been testing it out. Now, by the sounds of what we're reading now, it sounds like it's going to be rolled out nationally, like officially. And when this happens, this is going to be incredible because it's going to allow, as we can read here, it's going to allow those in China, right, with the digital yuan, because it's basically, it allows for superior surveillance, right? With the digital yuan, and we know that China already has like a social scoring system. Many of you may have watched, what is that movie? The scary Korean movie, Squid Games. Okay, it's just an example of, I'm not saying China's like this, but that movie really, kind of depicts a social scoring system and what it would look like and what the implications would be if you didn't pay your bills in time, or if you're caught littering, throwing trash on the street, or if you're just, have a bad credit score or whatever it is. It affects, everything's going to be connected. Your social score is going to affect your ability to purchase. It basically is now connected to your phone because everything's done through your phone now. And I know in China, there's many like cashless places already. So long story short, it's just going to allow for greater control and surveillance of people, because wherever you take your phone, and most people take their phones everywhere, then you can also be tracked, and anyway, so that's a whole separate conversation. But for the purposes of this news, and in terms of financial repercussions and news, this is going to be good in this regard, okay? In regards to allowing China, who has been under strict financial control, like Chinese citizens and investors are not allowed, and this is a summarized explanation, but they're not allowed, as far as I know, to take their money out of China. Like they can't leave that economy. They have to keep their money in China. And this is why many wealthy Chinese people will find creative ways to move their money into other forms of assets, other assets that they can control, like gold, or they'll buy big things of big value that they can later flip. So anyway, this is going to be great because with the digital yuan, they're going to be allowed to enter into the Hong Kong exchanges, as I'm highlighting on the screen, which is awesome because we know that Hong Kong already approved the Bitcoin ETF. So this is awesome. So we can just kind of like follow the domino effect and see the implication it's going to have on Bitcoin's price and in the Chinese market. So this is all brewing. So if you've watched my previous videos, you would know that I explained, and I have explained previously that, Bitcoin in itself and crypto markets in itself, they're not independent. Everything in the world is connected. That's why war and is connected to oil prices, is connected to inflation, is connected, everything's connected. So we know that it's macroeconomics, right? What's going on in the stock market, which is often affected by, policy, which is, politics. So who's the president, what parties, has the dominant control on the Hill, on Capitol Hill in the White House. So it's all connected. Like the politics affect macroeconomics and stock market. Bitcoin still follows the stock market to some great extent. And then, what do you call them, like black swan events happen, or are also a factor, such as like war, or pandemics, or there's so many factors that affect the price of Bitcoin. But that said, in the short term, this is really, 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 really bullish and positive news for Bitcoin. So just to give you guys a little update on what else is going on. And then I have previously mentioned this in my videos as well, but every time USDT, as you can see on my screen, prints, I'm not going to say prints, but every time they mint, because that's the term in crypto, every time they mint more USDT, it's always a bullish sign, because that is one of the primary currencies, cryptocurrencies, that is used to buy other cryptos, right? Like the pairs, if you go on an exchange or you go to CoinGecko, you'll notice that there's pairs. And you can't buy any crypto, any new token or any new meme with any other crypto. You usually have to buy with USDT. It's one of the biggest ones, USDT and Ethereum. And then now more and more, as we'll see in a moment, with like Solana or other network tokens. But USDT has been the litmus test, or has been sort of the standard indicator of new investors coming into the crypto space, because they use USDT oftentimes to buy. So Tether has, this is new as of today, they have minted $1 billion worth of USDT, which is amazing. So that's another bullish indicator for you. And then just taking a look at what we have going on and what we can expect for this next week, because I think it's important to know what's coming ahead of time. It allows you to pre-plan or pre-strategize in your head what you're going to do, so that you're not caught off guard or surprised, or then feel like, the sky is falling and like you don't know what to do. So as a quick preview, what we have going on in DC this week are three big things, okay? We have the Biden veto, as we'll see in a second here. We know that legislation passed. It was bipartisan too. It was Republican and Democrats, which is amazing. They voted 60-38 to veto against this whole proposal that, what would you call it, like a bill or a proposal to basically not allow banks to custody Bitcoin. And thankfully, Congress, or legislation, the Senate voted to squash this. But now we have Biden threatening to veto it. So this is what we have to be looking out for this week. And there's a lot to say and unpack here on the potentials, whether he will, whether he won't. If he does veto it, it would be very unpopular of him, because crypto has become such a hotly debated point of discussion amongst the new incoming presidents or candidates. So if he were to say no, it would be he'd be like shooting himself in the foot a little bit, which would not be good for him if he's trying to get reelected. Now, if he decides not to veto it, that would be really shocking. It'd be very shocking, because he is accountable and responsible to key stakeholders in government. And they're voting against, or they do not want crypto to be passed, you know, or like further encouraged in the US. So if he were to go against them, you know, his party, and decide to not veto it and just allow it to move forward, then he'd be breaking away from his main supporters, and they may choose to not support him anymore, cut off his funding. So he's in a really tricky situation, a very, very tricky situation. But let's see what happens. Next, we have Gary Gensler, to approve the Ethereum ETF everyone's been waiting for. And we know that Grayscale withdrew their futures ETF approval, and we know that there's several other applicants still in. I don't know, I feel like it's 50-50 right now. Some think it won't get approved for many reasons, and some think it will. Some think that even if it does get approved, it's not going to matter very much, like it's not going to have such a big impact. I don't know, there's so much to unpack there, but that's what's coming up this week. So let's see what happens. I think if it gets approved, it's going to have the effect, you know, good news always does on the market. It's going to pump. Ethereum's going to pump. The whole market's going to pump. Then it's going to correct a little bit. So if we know it's going to pump, if it gets approved, then chances are we should probably stock up on the tokens that we believe in the most. Yeah, with a long-term mindset, because after things pump, they always drop a little bit. So you'd have to be prepared to ride that wave and not get scared when it dips a little bit again. But yeah, so let's see what happens. Third, we have the House voting yes to FIT bill, which is a major crypto legislation bill led by pro-crypto. Our contingent goes to House vote by Wednesday or Thursday. In terms of what is the FIT bill, I just researched it very fast, and the FIT Act represents the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act. It's a landmark piece of cryptocurrency regulation or laws currently being voted on by Congress. So it would aim to establish a comprehensive or like detailed laws or regulatory framework for the digital assets industry. So basically just clear regulation around it, marking a significant step towards formalizing, right? Clarifying, formalizing, making it official how cryptocurrencies are managed in the US. So it addresses several aspects of it, like consumer protection, innovation, regulatory clarity. Very important. So all of these things are coming up this week. It's crazy. So much is going on. And in many ways, who gets elected to be a president next, you know, relies or has an implication on these different bills being approved. We'll see. I don't know. It must be intense, these conversations going on behind the scenes, you know? And then some really radical piece of news is that right now, Congress wants to abolish the Federal Reserve. Now, many of you may know, but the Federal Reserve is not the government. It's a complete separate entity, and it basically prints money. It prints money and then sells it or buys it to the US government, and this pretty much regulates inflation. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. So and I'm not going to read all of this to you, but it's a pretty big deal, and it was proposed by Representative Thomas Massey, as I'm reading on the screen. And it basically calls for the complete abolition of the Board of Governors and all Federal Reserve banks within a year. And what Massey said was this, and I've zoomed in quite a bit for you guys, but he says, Americans are suffering under the crippling inflation and the Federal Reserve is to blame. During COVID, the Federal Reserve created trillions of dollars out of thin air and loaned it to the Treasury Department to enable unprecedented deficit spending. By monetizing the debt, the Federal Reserve devalued the dollar and enabled free money policies that caused the high inflation we see today. Monetizing debt is a closely coordinated effort between the White House, the Federal Reserve, Treasury Department, Congress, big banks, and Wall Street, big mafia. Through this process, retirees see their savings evaporate due to the actions of central bank pursuing inflationary policies that benefit the wealthy and connected. If we really want to reduce inflation, the most effective policy is to end the Federal Reserve. Now, I retweeted this on my account, and what I wrote, I won't show you now, but what I wrote was, is this benevolent? Like, is this them trying to be kind and you know, think fairly and think, you know, well and trying to protect the American people? Or is this strategic? And I don't want to sound, you know, like a conspiracy theorist, but we know, this isn't even conspiracy, we know that there's talks of the US creating its own digital dollar. And there's even talks of like a one world currency. Some think that this whole, like, what is it? The world token, or the, I don't know, Sam Altman's coin. Okay, let's not go so far as to the one world currency right now. That's a separate conversation. But we know that, as we saw a moment ago, China is already exercising and, you know, practicing using its digital yuan. So it would not be far-fetched to think that the US would create its own digital dollar. And as it creates its digital dollar, it would basically be the same thing that we see going on in China, where this digital dollar will be linked to your biometrics, to your eyeball, to your thumbprint. And we know that cameras everywhere are already tracking us, and we already use our thumbprints for everything, and they have a lot of data on us. So this, a lot of the theories around what is called the CBDC, or the, what is it, centralized dollar, what does CBDC stand for? Anyway, let me look it up as I'm talking. CBDC stands for. As this rolls out, it would basically take full control, right? They would have, the US government would have full control of every single citizen. They'd be giving, you know, basic income for all. Everyone would get a salary. No one would have to work anymore, which is great. Some are going to think, because AI is taking over anyway and is fixing to replace everyone's jobs anyway. And so this would be hypothetically or technically, or on the superficial first degree level, it would appear to be a good thing, because, you know, now everyone would get income. Like, there would be no more homeless people. Everyone would get an income just for being human. It'd be based on your household size and other criteria, like a social score, for instance. And it'd be good on the one hand, but they'd also be able to control us and track us, which arguably they already do anyway. That's the power of having and using a VPN. I'm not going to pitch you my VPN. I don't have an affiliate link, but you should get a VPN, because it doesn't, it basically blocks anyone, hackers or anyone, from seeing your identity, your IP address, and all the data connected to it, right? Because there's computers that are smart, and they can connect your computer's ID with your actual identity. Anyway, this is how they sell you ads, because they know who you are, what you like, etc. But anyway, so there's some possibility that as they try to abolish the Federal Reserve, that they might move into this basic income for all. And just to answer the question, CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. Yeah, so anyway, breaking news, nevertheless. Some more breaking news is that the SEC's policy director, her name was Heather, Her name was Heather Slavkin Corzo. She stepped down. This is as of today too. And then as you can see on the screen, you know, they say, what a huge win for crypto. Now, I did some digging on her, and turns out there's no, like, there aren't any conspiracies on why she stepped down or if it was for any negative reason. It sounds like it was just like the standard turnover time for the SEC. And it sounds like it was programmed. It was her time to be replaced. But that said, in my digging, I found that actually says her work involved advocating for robust financial regulations and corporate transparency, which can be seen as aligning with cautious or critical view of the largely unregulated cryptocurrency market. So I guess that's why they're saying it's a big win for crypto, but replacing her, and I also tweeted this, will be the certain Corey Kelmer. And I Googled Corey Kelmer, and she's also conservative. She's conservative, but when I searched for her on LinkedIn, and I won't show you for the purposes of keeping this as brief as possible, concise as possible, she cares a lot for sustainable banking, and her bio uses several like innovative type words to describe her style. So who knows? This could be really good news for crypto because she appears to be on the innovative side of things. So we'll see, but some pretty big news that affects crypto and our future moving forward, especially as we go into elections. And then thirdly, I just found this tweet or this summary quite interesting, and there was a lot to unpack here. I ran it through ChatGPT as well, just briefly. And I know someone was freaking out in my comments telling me, don't have conversations with ChatGPT, it's not healthy. But it's just interesting. I just break things down through ChatGPT, like the logic of things. But very interesting. So anyway, what is most important in this tweet that I'm looking at? I'm not gonna, deconstruct it all for you, but this gentleman Thomas, and he's like has a doctorate in Bitcoin, as you can see on the right, doctorate in Bitcoin, co-founder of Apollo Stats, like a pretty stacked individual. He calls it like the Holy Trinity, bullish catalysts, or the events that would take Bitcoin to $5 million. And he says that the 3 required ingredients are almost complete. So 1 would be having a spot Bitcoin ETF. As we know, it's already been approved for multiple institutions. 2 would be having fair value accounting rules from the FASB. And I Googled this because it was a mouthful. And I was like, what is this? But basically, it's the governing body in the US, right, for the economy, that that basically determines accounting standards and fair reporting. And according to my research, historically, there's been some accusations against the FASB for being lobbied, basically, for being influenced by large corporations that I imagine give them free money or donations like they do in government as well. And they end up having an impact on the rules that get rolled out that are usually favorable for big companies and not favorable for their competitors or the little guys. Anyway, this is important towards Bitcoin in specific because Bitcoin as of now is considered an intangible, right? Intangible. Tangible means material or physical, so intangible is like the opposite. It's like the immaterial. It's considered an intangible asset, and there's no regulation around it, as we know. This is what is currently being debated, like it's like this whole FIT bill is being debated, like, or voted on, you know, whether banks can custody Bitcoins being voted on. There's so much up in the air that that make it hard for Bitcoin to be, you know, adopted and integrated into the economy. So this would be very important, because if Bitcoin is not defined as an asset, it's not, and there aren't rules on how companies that accept Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin should report it, and what's considered fair, because Bitcoin goes up and down in value fast or quickly, then it may have a negative impact on the overall economy, because whatever is reported has an impact on the way people feel about investing and feel about the market. So it's all connected. Once again, everything's connected. But back to this tweet. This Mr. Thomas, he's saying that this is the second thing that would have to get ironed out. And I guess it's in the works. I didn't find any like recent news on it. And then 3 would be that banks get to custody, and this is what's being debated right now, right? Like this is like the bill that Joe Biden could squash. He could veto it or could not. But this would have to happen. This would be like the third golden catalyst that would have to happen in order to allow Bitcoin to go to the moon. So anyway, very, very interesting. This is what is up in the air. That's what's going on this week. It's very, like, extremely interesting times. And now pivoting a little bit towards market action. If we click on the screen, the chart that I'm looking at on the screen, once again, history rhymes, right? We know that in the fall before 2021 was the Bitcoin halving chop. This was my first Bitcoin halving. I entered crypto like, I don't know, like almost half a year, 7 months or so before. Anyway, so we are in a very similar pattern, if you can see on the screen where I'm pointing. It's very, very similar shape. And what happened after last halving is that it went, woo, it just went like skyrocketed up, right? We did see a major correction and then it went back up. So we are right there, guys. Like, we are right there. We're like, it could be a few weeks, it could be up to August or September, but we are there. So it's time just to buy more of what you believe in. And I will share with you in a minute what I'm buying right now and why. I will tell you my insider knowledge on why. And then TED Talks here. He also explains that, you know, if you can see my screen and we zoom in here, we had 5 down weeks. You know, everyone's been so bearish and like, oh no, we're going like Bitcoin's crashing or whatever. But we finally had a positive week. And there tends to be a pattern going on. But anyway, this is a great sign because it means that we're going up, and it means the price, it means we're going up because we've been so low. There's been very little Bitcoin on exchanges, as we saw in the beginning of this video, even for sale. So this means there's, you know, and we have all these new investors coming into the market, which is represented through the minting of more USDT, as we saw in the beginning of this video as well, which implies more people are coming and wanting to invest. And something I have not covered in this video, but I'm just going to mention, we know that everyone who got wrecked with the whole FTX scandal is they're all fixing to get airdropped or sent a check in the mail. And these are all crypto people that are going to be buying more crypto with this money. It's like $1 billion or like a couple $1 billion that are being, that's going to be released into the market just in time. So guys, it's just like a brewing storm is all you need to know. So the main message here is like not just to be updated with the news, but it's to know that if you're going to buy more of the tokens you believe in, like now is the time. Now is the time. Like, do not procrastinate. Please, after you see this video, like go look at what you can buy or trade out of. Remember that meme coins? I'm going to share some with you right now. They're going to be the fastest, highest performing tokens. But then as soon as they pump, you take some of that money and you buy Bitcoin with it. You secure your financial future, okay? Or you buy Solana, or you buy Chainlink, what I wanted to share with you here. So Chainlink, which is an oracle, I did a whole video on Chainlink in my early days, so don't judge if you go see these videos. But Chainlink is a beast. Chainlink is an oracle. Chainlink basically has built a technology that allows for all like systems and financial systems, especially, to communicate and interoperate. So this can connect data from like courthouses and hospitals and like old banking systems with the new banking digital, you know, DeFi banks. So it's like the railways that allow for this communication to happen. It's amazing. Chainlink's going to be a beast. It's a blue chip. And as you can see on my screen, this is from Kyle. It says Chainlink completes testing with JP Morgan, Templeton, BNY Mellon, and other major US banks to accelerate the tokenization of funds. So Link, guys, like, don't miss this one, please. Next, this is just a chart to show you how phenomenal Solana is doing. Like, if you can see my screen right now, you would see a list of all the top chains and ranked by speed. And Solana's at the top, like, with flying colors, like just unbelievable speed. Okay, next comes Sui, and I have heard or have reason to believe that Sui's really going to pop off soon, or in this next run of the bull run. And then we have Binance, of course, followed by Polygon, and then Ton, of course. I've talked a lot about Ton. I'd encourage you to go look at Ton. Ton is the network or project of Telegram, which is huge. And Telegram's like now allowing, what is it, like crypto transactions and stuff? I don't know. There's so much to keep up with. Yeah, and as you can see here, Solana proves to be 46 times faster than Ethereum and 5 times faster than Polygon. Just saying. That's it. Okay. Now taking a look at some blue chip tokens. These are looking very, very good, and they're looking like they're going to pop off. Okay, we're looking at Solana, as I just mentioned. Arweave, I don't think I'm invested in Arweave, but I'm thinking of like buying some Arweave. Like, I've heard a lot about Arweave. I know that crypto banter, you know, Rand Neuner, I know they strongly support Arweave, which is an indicator it's going to do well because they're a large community. And then we have Pepe. I personally, I'm going to say no to Pepe. If you've watched my previous videos, I'm the biggest advocate of Pepe coin, which got a proper listing on CoinGecko finally. I'll show you in a second. But the third one is Ondo. Ondo is a real-world assets network. And we know that this has been the talk in the SEC and just like amongst like the big financial giants. They're all talking about how real-world assets are next. We had the Bitcoin ETF, and then next, they believe the next biggest, you know, tokenization of anything is going to be real-world assets, like real estate, like financial securities. And that's what Ondo is. I have some Ondo, but maybe I should top up. Anyway, that is this incredible news. No, and then this is just retarded, guys, okay? But this is like what it's like for everyone trying to learn crypto. This is like Bitcoin. This is like you trying to learn about Bitcoin. This is like the US dollar distracting everybody, fiat. Up, down, you know, inflation, this, that. And this is the OG Bitcoiner, like laser eyes over here, doesn't give a crap. So funny. Anyway, just had to share. I was just dying with laughter earlier watching it. But okay, now we got into the juicy part. I know this video is getting a little long, but I had to bring it all to you, okay? Like, so much is going on. And sorry if I'm a little tired, because I am tired, but I had to make today's video. Okay, so this is the juicy one. Kanye for Kanye. Kanye, I don't think it's his, but he has a Kanye West token, a meme. Small following, yeah, but I was looking at its token holders on Kaito. It's a tool that allows you to see like all the details behind every token. Very interesting. Anyway, its token holders are flying. There's a ton of token holders. So that's a good sign. It's getting some really crazy mass adoption right now. Yeah. And the next one is Michi. Like, the reason I'm bullish on Michi is because, well, Kyle told me, but also because Ansem, many of you guys may know who Ansem is, but he's a pretty big thought leader in crypto. See Ansem. This is Ansem right here at the end here. Ansem, this one. He somehow, like, I don't know, Kyle found out, and I'm just relaying information to you, but he's a really big supporter, which tells us he has a really large bag of it, which means it's going to do good. And then this guy, Eretonimo, he's a big hardcore, like, meme coins only. Like, he knows all the best meme coins, and he's following them, and so is DJ News. I don't know who that is, but anyway, overall, a small community, but also the token holders, like the wallets buying it, are like exponentially going up. So even though it's down a little bit right now, it's not something to be scared of. I would buy. I'm buying. Just full disclosure. I have not bought yet, but I'm buying. So anyway, just sharing some juicy opportunities with you guys. And that's it. That's today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry I was tired, but I love you, and this is why I wanted to bring you this video. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you get some rest. I hope you're ready for this next week and these next few weeks, because it's about to get crazy. But that said, I love you. Talk to you guys later. Ciao.